What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of BlackBoxBeat, where we got your word on the street. Ooh, it seems like it's been a long time since last episode, but we're here. I'm Kang.
I'm Maria.
And I'm Hells. All right. So let's get into a little bit of chat room chatter. It's like last week when we signed. See the sign, chat room chatter. We're chattering. Last week when we signed off, the three of us kind of got into an interesting conversation off air, kind of talking about the market a little bit and where we were going, and this just colossal move off the bottom. I don't want to say off the bottom, off of a recent, resistance level. That we were banging our heads out, and we broke out hard, and we were kind of cutting through it. It's like, okay, so what's really the story here? Is this window dressing that was thrown out? Is this, the banks basically getting QE while everybody else starves to death? It's like, what was this? And I kept on like pondering even after we got offline. It's like we're climbing the wall of worry is really ultimately what it comes down to, at least for me when I'm looking at it. The charts are the charts. It's like, Kang, you brought up some great points last time. Anything you want to share with the people?
Hey, thank you, sir. What's interesting to me this time is just kind of how in the past it seems like bad news was good news, because everybody was thinking, okay, the bad news, the market is kind of deteriorating, or at least the macro picture is deteriorating. The Fed's not going to have to do as much. But what's been interesting to me in this last week, 2 weeks now that we've been getting these data sets, especially this week, with this employment numbers, they've been coming in weak. But if you'd asked me a few weeks ago, if we got weak employment numbers or weak, ADP numbers and such, I thought the market would have taken off on that, thinking that the Fed didn't have to do as much. But it seems like now bad news, at least here in the past few days, bad news is bad news. Right. So definitely interesting that I'm seeing kind of that paradigm shift, just in the past week or so.
Mari, what do you think about all that?
So, and last week when you brought up the window dressing, it kind of, light bulbs started to go off like, oh yeah, it is end of quarter. Maybe that's why we're kind of moving. And then the whole idea at that point was, okay, well, let's see what we get this week. Like what happens. And I think we did see some very interesting end of quarter moves. And we've seen little pockets of buying here and there. But what we've not seen is strong rotation back into risk on or growth names. We're starting to see a little bit, but we've not seen that mass rotation into risk. And I think that we definitely need to see that, just to kind of add or a little bit just around what's going on in the market. There was a slight increase in volume on our indice ETFs, your SPY QDIA. Last week we were running really low. End of day, we're barely at 50% across the board. This week we're running a little bit better, which I like. And that's interesting considering it is a short week. So that's where I'd like to start. I have more to say, but that's where I'd like to start.
It's interesting because we are seeing a rotation, right? It's like we saw tech absolutely blitz going into the end of quarter, and now we're seeing a rotation with the Dow a little bit. With healthcare, you absolutely killed that world over there recently. Like, absolutely, you demolished it. Great work, outstanding work. It's like, but we're seeing this rotation going back, but I'm still seeing like real weakness in industrials. I'm seeing weakness in growth. It's like, if you told me that Tesla would break records off of that last quarterly delivery set and it would be down the way it has over the last couple of days, I'd be like, there's no way, because there is no other, to my knowledge, I can't think of a better growth vehicle with better margins than Tesla. You can say what you want about the company, but the margins are there and the growth is there. It's damn near exponential. So you're right. We're not getting the rotation. We're not getting what we want to see. And we're not getting, at least so far this week, any real move in the market. Even the SPX last week was it was like walking through mud until they decided to send Apple to the upside. Very, very odd dynamic that we're seeing you're facing. And King, to your point, is bad data now bad? It's like, look at the dollar. That was the biggest boogeyman in the room for the last year and a half. And look at it. It's like, it looks like one of the most pathetic charts out there if you're looking at a weekly.
Speaking of spy hells, we had a little discussion after the last one. What's up with this 500 number you throwing out, man?
So,
Is there
right?
drugs involved, like
Look,
hallucinations?
right.
What's going
It's
on?
wild. Now, this is what's interesting because when you're looking at this chart, it's like you have a lot of people that are sitting here screaming for oh, we're getting 3,200, 3,200, right? 3,200. We're breaking the lows from October, no doubt. We're going to 3,200. If you're going to do that, you have to, in the same breath, kind of look at it. Then why not 500? Because the difference is this, in my opinion, it was a really, we're talking about 80 points in either direction, give or take. Um, you have to look at it from the standpoint to where if the Fed actually is doing QE right now for banks have money, right? That's what they're
Right.
doing. They're saying, hey, if you're a bank, you need money, call this number and we'll flush you out. That's what the Fed is saying. They're also saying if you're a consumer and you're losing your job and your credit card bills are through the roof, whatever, pound sand, you get nada. That's what that is what they're doing. So you have to ask yourself the question. It's like, how, the number one rule is what? Don't fight the Fed. Isn't that the number one rule? It's like what I don't even know how to fight the Fed right now. Do I do I
I
fight the
mean,
Fed as far as going long, or do I fight the Fed and go? I don't even know what it is.
but like 500, man, you got snow outside the house on the ground. Is there snow inside the house too? I mean, like a different kind,
Hey,
but
you never
I'm
know.
talking about
We've seen
500.
crazier, Kang. We've seen crazier. And actually,
I
that
don't
chart,
know.
that SPY chart, if we look at that one more time, that low, I actually pulled that chart out further than a year just to kind of give us an idea, a full, clear picture. So that low that you're looking at, those are COVID lows. So look at that massive, massive, massive run after, right? So we've pulled back. Um, and I think it's a valid question. Do we go up or down from here? And I do think both scenarios are very possible. What I will say though is that we're still in an environment where we have to be quick and react instead of trying to predict. So if it
Mhm.
wants to go up, we play it up and we stay fast. If it wants to go down, we play down and we play fast. But I feel like that chart kind of really paints a picture. We had that massive run, nice cool off, which we needed after that kind of run. Retrace what? About 40-50% of the move,
Mhm.
still held, and is trying to inch its way back up. So what happens from here is definitely going to be interesting.
It
But the
is.
fun part about this is that this is recorded. So this is recorded. So like what I want to know, like, all right, so if we go it's 500 to the upside, and folks, we're not talking about like we're talking about SPY. That's like 5,000 on SPX, folks. So like if we move up toward there, like, okay, what I guess what's the downside target? What, 3,500 from here? So which one we
35.
gonna hit first? And what's the
I
bet
bet
gonna be? Because this is
well,
gonna be
if
epic.
20
we
burpees. It's 20 burpees to the
This is
loser.
gonna be epic.
look,
And you
it's
gotta
like I
record
think
it.
there should be some type of wager. It's like it would be completely fitting for us to sit here and just wibble wobble back and forth for the next 6 months in this exact little straight line doing absolutely nothing. That would be totally fitting for the market dynamic. But it's like, look, it's like if there's a bet, if you want to take 3,500 and I'll take 500 for some burpees, let's go. Let's roll out.
Which
What you
one do
got?
we hit first? Yeah, and you got to wear a shirt. I'll send you a shirt and be like,
You're
"Kang
not
is the
dressing me,
man."
dude.
You got to wear
You're
it in
not
the
dressing me.
episode. You got to wear the
You're
shirt
not.
that says "Kang is the man." If we hit
0
3,500 first.
chance you are dressing me ever for any reason.
Okay, so it's settled. 20 burpees. 20
Look,
burpees to the
man,
loser.
I would
By
always
what
want to put
day?
more. I would always want to put more clothes on you, never to take them off. Okay, so don't get it twisted.
I'm glad you
Put
clarified.
clothes
We
on,
all
hell. Put
appreciate
clothes on.
that.
So what is the date? What is the date? When is this going to be concluded? By
Let's play
when?
year end. Let's play year end.
All right.
Year end.
I'm
Yeah,
putting
this is
that
gonna be
down.
fun.
Just for fun. All right. So now what is it time for? It is time for one of our favorite segments, Shag, Marry, or Kill. What are we shagging? What are we marrying? What are we killing? I don't know, Maria. Let's kick it off with you.
Okay, I am going to. Well,
They're
no,
putting
no.
up the graphic. If y'all don't know by now, just take a quick look. That's what it says. Shag means is going up or down. Marry means you're going to lock in and go in and do it. Kill means you're not touching it or you want to see it enter the depths of hell. That's what that means. So take a picture of it mentally because we're not posting this anymore. Y'all are quick learners. Mario, what you got?
The ticker is gold. Ticker GOLD, not to be confused with GLD or GDX or GDXJ or anything like that. This is GOLD, which is an individual name. This is going to be a very quick shag for me. I've actually been in this position for a couple of weeks, and as of yesterday, we're actually starting to see more flow into miners and metals, which I like. They bought back on the 20th of March the April 21st, 21 calls, and we are green for now. Again, a quick shag, primarily because gold itself is very tricky to play. It's up, it's down. As far as resistance goes, it's going to be a little bit sticky. You'll see on that chart between 20 and 22 ish. The original flow, if you look at the OI tracker, OI looks good. They are still in that position. But we don't have too much time left on this one. So I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this one and looking to take some profit here sooner rather than later. And there's that OI screen. You can see that OI is still there. They're actually still in there, and they're not selling any of it.
Yeah, Mari, it's like the flow into metals has been amazing, man, and I think it's a
Yep.
great trade on the back of bad data, which is what we continue to get. You know, bad data, dollar down, gold up. That's a story. That's a playbook going back 10 years ago that's coming back into fashion. So love the play.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Thank
look,
you.
if we're about to, if it's all these uncertain times today, if we're about to head into like a zombie apocalypse, and hey, we can trade gold and all that. I'll roll with it. I'll roll with it. Gold is like it stood the test of time, so I'll roll with it
I like it.
for sure. Mine this week is AMD. I just was pulling this up today, and it's got a nice setup here on the daily. So you've got the longer time frame. I put 4 hour here as well, just to kind of give the chart a little bit more definition. But you can clearly see a left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. This actually broke to the downside today, but it's still worth watching. Right there, that neckline is around 93.74. So I like this setup on the longer time frames. Going to be watching to see if we continue to get some volume on the lower side of this neckline, but this is definitely a shag for me. And before, look, I'm not on. Look, I know this is AMD and this is tech and this has been strong. I'm unlike Hells. I'm not on drugs. Okay, do like the reversal. So before I get messages saying, what are you taking shorting tech? I like AMD here.
I'm gonna go shag. It's one of my favorites in the semi space. You guys know I love Nvidia. I love AMD. Those are two of my favorites. TSM's a third. I'm gonna agree with you here. I see what you're seeing on that chart there. I'd like to see which way it wants to break, but for right now, it's gonna be a shag.
Yeah, look, it's hard. I'm not seeing flow moving into semis in any real fashion anymore. I think they blew their load completely off of that run. It's like look at that the way it blitzed. That is a head and shoulders. My only issue is from a pattern standpoint. The way these head and shoulders have been looking so far, everybody loads into that right shoulder and then they put a green candle and everybody freaks out and bear with weak hands, and then you just get this massive explosion to the upside. We've seen this all day, basically every day for the past week and a half. If there's a head and shoulders, no, it's not going to play out. I like it based on flow not being there alone. If flow comes in, obviously flip, but yeah, it's like I can't see how going into earnings there's not some type of a pullback going into earnings, so they actually have something to buy. I'm with you. All right, let's get into mine. This is my arch nemesis. This is the one that I hate with all passion. Netflix is an absolute kill for me. We're talking about a company that does not grow. Their subscribers have been down. They're in a space in a market overall to where they are in entering the phase of law of diminishing returns. There is no more growth left within that sector. The competition is intense, and they're actually losing memberships, and they're doing everything that they can in order to get subscriber bases up. I think with pockets being pinched right now, they do not have the pricing power that they had previously. Running a PE of 35 at this point for a non-growth stock, I'm looking to take this thing into the ground. I am currently short Netflix.
It's a kill for me. They reject that area of resistance. Netflix has had ongoing issues, subscribers, growth, all of it, financial, money, you name it. There's been issues. I like to trade it, but as of right now, that rejection of resistance, it's a kill for me.
You know what? Quiet Storm might be playing while Netflix is on, and they might be asking me if I'm still watching. But that's beside the point. I'm gonna shag it. I like shagging, but to shag it short because I agree on the setup here, and we're running into some major tech. Thanks for hanging out with us through those technical difficulties, folks. Folks, let's get
Don't
right on
cover
into
up.
the
It was
member
the aliens.
question.
We all know it was the aliens. They came and zapped us. We know this. We know it.
Yeah, yeah, something happened for sure. But we like to hear from y'all every single week, folks. And so this week's member question comes from Paper Trader Guru. What is the best way to determine which strike and expiration to buy on options? Do I just go with the one with the highest OI? Mario first.
Me first? No, you don't go with the one with the highest OI. Number one. Um,
Think
First things
fast.
first. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, 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 I was just saying, think fast, think fast.
Think fast, right? No, I know. Um, so there's a couple of things here. Number one is no, just because a strike has OI doesn't mean it's a good trade, or it doesn't mean it's a good strike or a good expiration to buy. You have no idea what flow came in, how it came in, what they're doing. Just looking at OI does not give you a clear picture of what the initial play was. So, no, it's not a good idea to just look at OI. Plus, we want to stress quality over quantity. If you're a newer trader, by a minimum of 1 month out, I prefer you buy more time to stay at or slightly in the money. These contracts are going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're paying for a quote unquote safer trade. So quality over quantity always. And if you can't clearly tell what's going on, which you can't, again, by just looking at OI, that's not the trade for you.
Yeah, it's like OAI is one of the biggest traps. It's like a lot of people sit there and scroll through an option chain and be like, "Oh, there's 100,000 million contracts here. I'm going to go ahead and join them." What you don't know is what they are. It's like you have no idea what that is at the end of the day, or when they got. They could have got in 5 years ago, and they're just like, "Well, maybe it'll hit." It's like you know,
Right.
so you really don't know. It's like if you're trying to figure out what strike to take, there's this thing called BlackBoxStocks. They do a really great job as far as showing you exactly kind of where what strikes are hitting and where the money is flowing. That's where I would look first and foremost. You don't want to take a strike just because it's cheap. You don't want to take a strike thinking it's like, oh, I have time and it's really expensive, so I'll be safe. You don't want to do that either. You want to match it with your chart. You want to match it with the flow that's coming in, supporting in and around. You just don't want to willy nilly just kind of be like, oh, there's some OI. Let me go get it. One of the biggest traps that are out there for option traders are trying to capture that OI. I mean, like, oh well, there's like a billion contracts here. Maybe I can play with them. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily look at OI either. I agree with y'all 100%. For me personally, it's just like getting to know your ticker. Get to know how it moves. How does it react to different types of news? How does it trade based on relationships between like the 10-year and some other macro data that comes out. So really get to know your ticker, because I know like we have a, sage teacher here, member of the community here. I can't mention here, but cheap is not always good. So um, for me personally, like I said, it's just really getting to know that ticker, and then of course, looking at technical setups and things like that to pick that strike. And folks, if you have a question, we'd love to be able to answer that here on the show. So either you can comment in the chat or hit us up at BlackBoxBeat at BlackBoxStocks.com. Again, that is BlackBoxBeat at BlackBoxStocks.com. And we will try to get your question answered live in one of our future broadcasts.
Absolutely. All right, let's go on to the fun stuff. Let's talk about a losing moment, which is more, it's not necessarily a losing moment for any of us, because I don't know that any of us traded this, but this is one of those kind of moments in time to where you kind of have to evaluate and really understand that the market is a very, very dangerous place to be in. We're looking at a ticker right now called AI. AI, right? Kind of cool. Everybody's like, ooh, you got AI, let's buy it. Yeah, you can see what happened. They bought it. They bought it. They bought it. They bought it. And then we had a report come out on what was that yesterday, basically stating that they have potentially have some funny business with their accounting. And you can see how it went from mid 30s all the way down, playing it now into the low 20s. This is one of those risks when you play with stuff that you don't know what the hell it is. That's what happens. That doesn't happen with real tickers, with real balance sheets in a real business. That's what happens when you play with dumb stuff.
You know what's
Mario?
interesting? You know what's actually really interesting? We were talking about it. We were talking about it yesterday on Voice, and Jenny actually brought this up. One of our awesome moderators.
Mhm.
Carousel Capital had announced a short a while back, right? And after that short, and this chart shows it, AI ran. They were upside down on that short, and conveniently, this report came out stating that they fudged their numbers, and that did cause a downward move. Just something interesting to keep in the back of your mind. I like the company. I like the trade. I've traded it upside. I've traded it downside. I do think it's very highly volatile. It's a risky one. It's not one that you want to just go in blindly into. But I thought it was really interesting that Carousel announced the short and then filed the report saying that the accounting is bad.
Damn,
Right?
that's crazy.
Isn't that shady?
But is it though? Could both of them still be true? You
It
know,
could be, but they had an open short position that was established prior to the stock moving up. Is that
is
not
there any,
manipulation?
is there any difference between that and what Goldman does as far as, hey,
Maybe not. Who knows? I
you
don't
know,
Well,
know.
Mario,
putting a $5 price target on Tesla and then be like, yeah, no, it's like it's going to zero. It's like, is there any difference with any of that? It's like, look, the fundamentals are there for a ticker or not. It's like that.
True.
That's it. And where was management stepping down and say that's not true? Here
They
are our
did.
books. It's like where were they? They weren't anywhere. So
They
it kind of
actually
begs the
did make a statement. They did come back. They made a statement. Don't ask me what they said. I don't remember. But my understanding is that the stock did bounce slightly, but as you can see today, back down.
Mm-hmm.
well,
Yeah.
Mario, I'm nicknaming you Master P because Mario's
Uh,
Master P because in this next one she made it go,
Yeah, no, she really did. She absolutely killed
whoa,
it. It's Maria, take it away, man. Seriously, you absolutely destroyed UNH.
Oh
It was
man.
gorgeous. You are the champion of the
Oh,
week.
thanks, guys.
Rip and rip.
It's like
Show
a
us
great
what you got.
trade.
no,
This
no,
is one
no,
of those
no.
trades that just felt good. They came in and bought. This was back on Thursday. On Thursday, they came in and bought over $4 million of UNH, the June 470 calls, and we paid 2260 a contract for those. And if you look at the chart, you'll see that they bought that at an area of support, a nice area of support, and it's made a very nice move up. UNH contracts tend to move really nice. I sold 3/4 of that position this morning for over 90%. Sold the rest of it a little bit later this morning for over 100%. If we go back to that OI screen, you'll see that they're actually still in. I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow. I did not exit because I saw any bid side coming in or anything like that. I didn't see anyone exiting. I just know that it's hard to make contracts that are that expensive go up percentage wise that much. And I was happy with my profit, so I took it. I will say though, if they come back into this one, or into UNH, it is one that I'd like to pick up. 500 was a big area of resistance. And my thought process was that if it can push through 500, 500 could then act as a pretty decent area of support. So I think the high today was 511. And again, I'm anxious to see if they'll come back in. And I want to see what OI does tomorrow.
Na 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 na.
Yeah, no,
Mario
great
killed it.
trade.
Thank
Mario
you,
Great,
guys.
killed it.
great trade. Really
Quick
fantastic.
note, everybody, before we get up on out of here this week, just wanted to mention that Hells was the leader for today, and if you've hung around with us from the beginning of the show, you know that Hells was a deity about 5,000 years ago. So today's show is sponsored by Egyptian Cotton. Everybody, let's go. So to close out this episode, so glad to have everybody with us. Thank y'all for hanging with us through the difficulty that we had mid-show, but look forward to seeing y'all next week. And we got that word on the street, so please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. That way you get those alerts when we're getting ready to go live. And we'll see you next week. Everybody stay green.
Bye, guys.
See you guys later.
I don't know what's wrong with my brain today.